Hi everyone, today we're going to be learning about the fees associated with mutual funds. After sifting through a sea of research, you've finally narrowed down the perfect mutual funds for your portfolio. But what about the fees? Fees actually aren't something to be afraid of, but you do want to know what you're getting in exchange for what you're paying, so let's take a closer look. The first fee to be aware of is an MER, and it's a percentage that's charged on your entire portfolio. As an example, it might be 2% on your mutual fund, which you might have $10,000 invested in. That would cost you $200 a year, and that covers everything from the fund managers that are buying and selling on your behalf to the administrative costs of the portfolio. Now, it is important to know that the MER is charged regardless of whether or not the portfolio made money. The next fee to be aware of is the trading expense ratio, or TER. This is the cost that the fund incurs from buying and selling investments within the mutual fund. Just like an MER, it's a percentage that's charged on the entire portfolio that you own. The third type of fee are sales fees, and these are fees that you pay to your broker or the institution that's selling you the investment. A front-end load fee is an example of a fee that's paid when you initially purchase that investment, and it's usually a percentage of the entire amount that you're investing. A back-end load, also referred to as low load or DSC, which stands for Deferred Sales Charge, is a fee that you pay when you actually sell units of your fund, and it's charged as a percentage. Typically, it's conditional on a time frame, so if you sell your fund 5 years or less after you bought it, this is when this fee might sometimes be implied. Now, not all funds have front-end and back-end load fees. In fact, these are very typical amongst segregated funds, which I'll have another video on. That being said, you might be paying advisor fees. So take a look at my video about questions to ask when shopping around for a financial advisor to learn a little bit more about how investment advisors are paid and what those fees might look like. Well, what if you're buying your mutual funds online? Is there any changes to the fees? Well, part of the cost associated with an MER is the service and advice that you're receiving from your advisor or your bank. If you are knowledgeable and comfortable to purchase your investments yourself, then many of the same mutual funds that you would find at your local bank can be found online for a cheaper price. These mutual funds are referred to as D-series funds.
Knowing what fees you're paying when you invest in a mutual fund is crucial to your investing success. Today, we're going to look at some of the popular fees mutual funds charge. Every mutual fund has a prospectus filed with the SEC. In that prospectus will be a table of fees. Here's an example of what that table looks like. Now let's take a closer look at some individual fees. There are two sections of fees: shareholder fees and operating fees. The shareholder fee section. A front-end load fee. This is when you pay a fee when you invest in a fund. If there's a 5% front-end sales load fee, so if you invest $10,000, the fund will automatically charge you $500, which is the 5%. Then there's the back-end load fee. This one is a bit trickier because there are often exceptions based on various criteria. If you look at our fee table example, you will see that there is no minimum deferred sales charge. But then, they reference this number 1 footnote. The footnote basically says if you invest over $1 million and sell within the first 12 months, they can charge you 1%. This illustrates the importance of reading the prospectus. Mutual funds are required to describe their fees in this prospectus, and every fund is different, so make sure you read the prospectus so you can examine exactly what the fees are that they're charging. Now, every now and again, you might hear about a no-load fund. Generally, what they're referring to are these front and back-end load fees. But I wouldn't just accept a no-load fund as having no fees in this top section. They could also list fees like exchange fees, redemption fees, service fees, and so on. So once again, find this table in the prospectus of the mutual fund you're considering and read the details. Now on to the operating fees. First is the management fee. A management fee are fees paid out of the fund's assets on an annual basis to the investment advisor for managing the fund. With our fund example, we'll see that the fee is 72 basis points. A basis point is 1/100th of 1%, so 100 basis points is the same as 1%. So in this case, it's 72 basis points. If the fee had been 1.5%, you could say 150 basis points. The next fee is a distribution fee, or a 12b-1 fee. 12b-1 fees are fees that are taken out of the fund's assets to cover expenses to sell the fund. This fee can include compensation for brokers, paying for advertising, printing and mailing the prospectus, and so on. Then we go down to other expenses. This can be a lot of different things. Some popular fees here are legal fees, custodial fees, some administrative fees, things like that. In summary, fees for mutual funds are impressively more complex than you might think. In my opinion, if I were looking to invest in a mutual fund, I would be looking for a no-load mutual fund that has annual fund expenses as low as possible. I might be willing to pay a slightly higher fee if there was a specific strategy I wanted to be involved in, but for a basic fund, I would be looking at the total annual fund fees, and I would be looking for funds that don't have a sales load fee.